Hi, I'm Patricia Allingham Carlson, and this is my step-by-step of my painting Cherry Tree at New Hope, part 5 of 6. I continue to bring out the tree and detail branches. And then I go back and say, I need to finish this house before the branches and the blossoms that are going to be coming will cover up the house. So I do more adjustments on the house. I add some yellow light to the top right and some splatters of lime green. I hope you'll enjoy it and give it a like. You can also subscribe so you don't miss any parts. And please check out my links below so you can see some of the products I used to create this work. Now let's get to the painting. Back to the cherry tree at New Hope. I am developing the big cherry tree in the foreground further. I'm adjusting more highlights on the left side. Continuing to use that tree ring approach. And I'm continuing to use the white ink. Very thick at this point. I highlight the bottoms of some of the large branches coming off as well. Basically, I'm finding wherever sunlight might hit this tree or the branches that come off of it. I'm adding a little bit of highlighting into the foliage and bushes around the house as well. This helps the bushes to have more form. If they have light spots and they have darker areas, they will look more dimensional, even if they aren't carefully designed. What I just did was hold the paper up away from me to get a little bit more objectivity on where I was going with the lights. And now I'm moving on to some fine branch work. The big branches are in, but this tree also had many small branches. And I am using a mixture of burnt umber and indigo for this. I think the best way to paint branches is to really look at a tree and look at the branches that actually grow from the tree. If you tried to paint every branch in, your painting might become too busy. Picking branches strategically that look interesting and add some good form to the composition is an important skill. Before I cover up the house with more branch work, I've decided to do a little bit more highlighting. Once the branches are placed in front of the house, it will be a lot more difficult to work around them. And this tree is not just going to get branches, but big clouds of blossoms as well, because it's a blossoming cherry tree. So when I'm satisfied that the house is the way I want it, coming back to the tree, and I'm adding some small areas of interesting colors, bringing in a little bit of blue into the shadowed area. Bringing some more dark shading into the bushes in the front as well. In this area, I'm not referring to the reference photograph. I'm just painting in what looks good to my eyes. Some of these branches are quite thin and small. Some are medium size, but overall, I need a fair amount of branches because I want to put in a fair amount of blossoms. And the blossoms have to be growing on something. I think the branches also give some structure to the whole composition in the foreground. And there's the added benefit of covering any architectural mistakes that I may have made with the branches and blossoms. And I think that's a very good benefit of putting the tree in front of the main topic of the painting. Again, I'm holding the painting away from myself to see if I have enough and to evaluate what is needed for the painting. Even getting several feet of distance can be helpful. I am varying the intensity of the color of the branches as well. Some branches are much darker and some are very pale. Now I just pulled in some alizarin crimson to add a hint of red or cherry color to some of the branches. And I have seen that in actual cherry trees, that there is some red in the bark. It's deep in color, but I like it. I find it attractive. I've seen that in rosebush stems and leaves as well. So wherever I could see an additional color showing, I try to include that when I'm painting. And I do frequently exaggerate it as well because I like color and I like to play around with expressive color. The branches are getting close to being, in my estimate, done. I continue to tweak and mess around with it some more, but essentially I do think that tree is done. I think it's strong enough to stand up against the background. And I'm seeing a need for a bit of yellow sunlight at the top of the painting as well as in some various other places. So I'm pulling in nice strong yellow, mixing it with some Viridian and trying to make a very fresh lime green. And I like that color. Turquoise might have worked as well, but I do like that Viridian and the cadmium yellow together. I'm splattering it on. This is a subtle effect with such a pale color, but it does add some sparkle of sunlight. And the next time we check back in with the videos, I'll be finishing this one. Hope to see you then. I hope you enjoyed my beginning to end painting Cherry Tree at New Hope. I hope you'll give it a like and subscribe, and if you click on the bell, you'll get a notice whenever I release a new video. I appreciate your comments. There are links to the products I use below, and you could check them out too. I'll see you next video.